Good afternoon. Welcome to another issue of British Cars. So today we're going to work on my 1981 Triumph TR7. I'm going to put front brakes in it. This is a fairly low mileage car. It's about 42,000 miles. It's a California spec, so it's fuel injected. Actually a pretty nice car. I'm the second owner. The original owner bought it when he retired. Didn't drive too much. Been converted to modern air conditioning, so I got nice AC, so it's a great car to take on long trips on the freeway. Particularly it's got a 345 ratio rear end, so it really goes well on the freeway. A couple extra horse out of the motor because of the fuel injection. All comes out pretty well. So first thing to do is to put it on the lift, which I've done, and I'll pick it up and take the wheels off. So I like to start off by spreading the shoes out a little bit. Just give them a bit of space so they'll slide off the calipers later readily. So these little tabs are the top of the shoes. You just push back on them a little bit and you can feel they got a little bit of looseness. Next, we have to pull these cotter pins so the end of the cotter pin is turned up, so we need to squeeze that down, and then you can grab them on the, push them back a little bit and grab them on the end and just pull them out. There's one. And then this is the anti-rattle clip. I'll put all that stuff somewhere safe. And then we can just pop the shoes out. So, next you want to loosen this up so this will be able to move out of the way. I don't think you're going to get it off the clip without taking that hydraulic line apart, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to drain the fluid. So now we're going to need to take the two bolts off that hold the back of the caliper on. So you'll have to excuse me, I lost a little bit of footage yesterday, so I'm going to redo it. So this is the other side of the car. It's a different day, I'm wearing a different shirt, and then we're going to go back to the other side where I'm just going to splice this into the other footage. So we need to loosen this hydraulic line. So that we can spin it out of the way, so we can spin the caliper out of the way. So that's pretty straightforward. And then we need to take the caliper off. So there's two bolts on that hold it on in the back. And this car are really tight. So the top one is the short one, but the bottom one it's a longer one because it goes through the arm that goes to the steering rack, and there's a spacer between the caliper and the steering rack, which will fall out when we start trying to move that out. So you can see that bolt's much longer. And there's the spacer. So you can see it's much thicker than a standard washer. And I'm not quite sure why they do that, but it's pretty common. So the other thing I forgot to do first is you want a way to be able to tie your caliper up, because you don't want to just swing it on the hydraulic line. So I usually just tie a bungee cord up into the spring, and you just loop it through the mounting holes, and that'll hold the weight of the caliper. And that's got this off. So now we just need to take this cap off. You just need to take this cap off to get the wheel off. So I'm lucky enough that these rotors will just fit my lathe, so I don't have to send them off somewhere to get them machined. I just want to get them on. Here's a 3-jaw chuck. You want to make sure you get them really pressed up tight, because you want them to spin really well. And that looks pretty good right there. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. So I got it set up in here, and I got this set to cut it. I just want to take a couple of thousandths off and see where we're at. I really don't want to take very much off at all. Just enough to do it. So let's go. With this set on automatic feed, and that's why that's turning by itself. So this is going to take a while. I'm going to take a couple of passes, so we'll come back when it's done. So I cleaned it up, both sides. About, I don't know, 20 thousandths off both sides, each side, 40 thousandths total. Still pretty thick. So I'm going to put this back on the hub and use a little Loctite on these bolts, and we're also going to make sure that the bearings have got good amount of grease on them. All right, so we tighten these down. I think it's at 35 foot-pounds. Then Loctite, repack the bearings. You want to run this in, and it says to tighten it down to about 5 foot-pounds. It's about that much, just to make sure the bearing's seated, and then back it off 1 flat is what it says. I usually go more like just a half a flat, because otherwise you seem to get a lot of brake shudder. Now that's just barely touching this, the tiniest bit of preload. So then we need to find where this is going to line up. There we go. And always a new cotter pin. Bend that back around. We did this, so we're really serious about it. So usually I like to put a little dab of grease in here. You want to make sure whatever grease you're using is good for wheel bearings, because drum brakes use a fibrous grease, and this is not that. Just tap that in. Don't have to bend it. It's all good. Put this back on. So this does not have the pads in it yet. Just that. Just got that started. And make sure you remember to use the spacer in the bottom one between it's got the arm that goes to the front for the steering. That's then. We need to tighten those up again. click. And click. And then we'll tighten this back up, so I want to make sure we don't forget it. Doesn't have to be crazy tight. And then we need the pads. So this is something new. See how this is like got rubbery stuff on it. I guess that's anti-squeal stuff. So I've always just saw stuff that you sprayed on or shims or something like that. So one thing you do want to make sure of, I've had a bit of a problem with this lately, is that I've had a couple of brake shoes where this dimension was a little too big and I had to disc grind a few thousandths on. But without that there, the pads hung up and it caused excessive wear. I'm just pushing that caliper in just a little bit more. You see, that's just nice in there and it floats, so that's good. And then let's push this other half of the caliper back. So you need to double check too. You often have to pull the cap of the master cylinder off to leave space for that fluid to flow back into. Yeah. So we can feel it hitting, but if you look, this is sticking out too far. In the bottom. But that's sticking out about 1/8 of an inch past the rotor, and it should be down about 1/8 of an inch. This is curious. Let's try a different pad. Yeah. And there's another one. Look at that. Goes in all the way like it should. Put those ones back in. So this is the anti-vibration plate again. Here's the cotter pin. And if I have my pliers, one. There's the other one, and then you just want to bend one arm down, I don't know, maybe 30 degrees or so, and that'll stop these from backing out. There we go. So that's all done. Alright, so all we got to do now is put the wheel back on and then do the other side, but it's getting late, so I think I'm going to do the other side tomorrow. Don't forget to take your bungee cords back out. You're having some funny, weird noises out of your front suspension. I don't know what they are. It'll be this. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, it's pretty easy. Most people now, these rotors aren't that expensive. You could just buy new ones, but these ones were drilled and slotted, so they were a bit more expensive. So I thought I'd try to keep them. So old school it and turn them down a bit. And we will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.